Hey Mixers, welcome back to another NFL video. We're going to go over all the sides, totals, and spreads and do some player props for this video. I've been sick for about the past week, so I haven't made videos the last 3 or 4 days. And honestly, I'm still sick, but I felt good enough to get this one out. And hopefully we'll start doing some basketball videos again starting tomorrow. So let's go ahead and jump into the recap of last week, and then we'll get into all of that. Okay, so last week I did call 3 games exactly correctly, including Cincinnati upsetting the Bengals. The Bengals upsetting the Ravens, and then Dallas upsetting the Chiefs as well. So our totals are getting closer to 50%. Our money lines are doing all right, and then I still don't have a good against the spread record. So just keep that in mind when I'm telling you all this stuff. I'm trying to get better at that. The Super Teaser had the worst week we've ever had. Usually we only miss 2 or 3 legs. We did miss 6 legs this week, but we did have 16 legs. The game bets did okay, a slightly positive week because we did bet the Cincinnati money line, and that did come through for us. And then the player props did not do well for the third week in a row. They were about 50-50 the last 2 weeks, and then this was definitely a losing week. And we're barely hovering over 50% on the player props. Touchdowns, I didn't give you any touchdowns last week. Okay, so getting into the games, Seattle at Atlanta. I do like Seattle to win the game, and I like Seattle on the spread. But Atlanta is playing at home, so I do like them to be able to score. For the Super Teaser, I'm going to do Seattle down to basically a pick on -1.5. And I think you could consider putting Seattle in a normal 6-point teaser. But kind of feels like a trap almost because it's like a perfect line to tease down to 2.5. But yeah, I like it. So go ahead and throw that into a teaser, I think. Cincinnati at Buffalo. The Bills have lost twice to Joe Burrow in the Joe Burrow era, and one was at home, one was away. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think the Bills are going to win and win easily, but I do think the Bengals will still be able to put up some points here. For the Super Teaser, I want to take Cincinnati plus 14.5. And then I will take the Bills in a money line parlay, but it's hard for me to find other money lines to pair with that. So I didn't actually end up doing a money line parlay, but you could end up putting those with basketball picks or if you end up wanting to do something. But I do think the Bills get the win here and that the Bengals are able to keep it somewhat close. Tennessee at Cleveland. This one's a big mess. I'm going to be on the Cleveland side just because they are the home team, but I'll take Tennessee on the spread. I expect this to be a close game, whether it's low scoring or high scoring. I think it's going to tend to be a little bit right in the middle. Like this line of 33.5, I do think is a little bit too low because I think both teams will be able to score. The Tennessee team total is something you could take a look at if you think Tennessee can score, which I think they can. But I'm going to take them on the spread in the Super Teaser plus 12.5 at Cleveland. Washington at Minnesota. I'm going to lean Minnesota on this one, which I know they are the underdogs, and I know that Jaden Daniels is back. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game than people are guessing. I think this spread started out really high, like 47.5 or something like that. It's all the way down to 43.5. In the Super Teaser, I'm going to take the Washington team total, though, over 16.5. I think both teams can get into the 20s, but I'm not quite sure. And then Washington at Minnesota plus 7.5 on the teaser, if you want to put them in a teaser, which I wouldn't. This is kind of borderline for me. Like, I think either team could win, and I think either team could win by a lot. I think that's possible. Miami at the New York Jets. I'm going to take the Jets side. In close games like this, I do like to side with the home team when they're an underdog and just get that plus money, basically. I am not putting any of these bets in, though. But I will take the total down for the Super Teaser over 33.5. And then I think you could consider the Miami Dolphins. Sorry, not the Dolphins, but the Jets in a teaser plus 8.5 because you're getting that touchdown. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. The Bucks I expect to win here and win easily. I don't expect the Saints to be able to stay in it. In the Super Teaser, though, I will take the Buccaneers down to 1.5 on the spread, and I think you could take the Bucks down to 2.5 on a 6-point teaser. And then Indianapolis and Jacksonville. I like Indianapolis here. I know Jacksonville is the play. The Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. That's like 11, 12 years almost where they have not been able to beat the Jags at home. But this is just a different Colts team. And I think the Jaguars do have a lot of weaknesses that the Colts can exploit. They are down a few players though, but I think that makes them, play even harder. I just like them in this one. I will take the Jacksonville team total under 29.5 in this one for the super teaser. And then I think for the spread, I will take Jacksonville in the spread plus 7.5 just because I'm getting those extra points. That gives me a full touchdown. And so I like that one there. Steelers at Baltimore. I am taking the Steelers. They are the underdogs, but I am betting the money line because it's a good number, 225, and I am betting the spread, so I'll bet both of those. And then Pittsburgh at Baltimore team total over 12.5 in the super teaser. Denver at the Raiders. This one I expect to be a little bit more higher scoring than the last matchup we saw between these two teams this year on Thursday night football. Denver, I do expect to win. The Raiders, I'm going to take on the spread just because it's that touchdown. But I think you could tease Denver in a teaser down to 1.5. I love that. And then Las Vegas at Denver, team total under 21.5. I just don't see them going over that number against the Broncos. But they could. I mean, I think it's possible. But that's the thing I liked the best in the game, other than teasing Denver down to 1.5. All right, Chicago at Green Bay. I like Green Bay on this one. I'll take Chicago to cover the spread, but I'm not sure about that. And then I'll take the over 44.5 as well. I think all of those are decent plays, actually. I'm not betting any of those, but only because I haven't quite decided yet what angle I want to attack. And then I will take the Green Bay team total under 33.5 because I was just getting a great number on it for the super teaser. The Rams at Arizona. The Rams are scoring so well this year in away games, and the Cardinals are allowing quite a lot at home. So I do expect the Rams to win here. That's a big spread for a division game, though, 8.5. So I'll take it with the Cardinals. I haven't bet that yet, but I'm considering it. I did bet the Carolina spread against the Rams last week, and that worked out. But I don't know if it will work out 2 weeks in a row. For the super teaser, though, we'll take the Rams down to 2.5. And then Houston and Kansas City, the Chiefs have won the past 5 head-to-heads, and the spreads with Stroud in Kansas City have been 9 and 8. So Stroud has not really been able to keep it close. Although last year in the postseason there were some kind of questionable calls, so kind of an iffy game there. But I will take Kansas City on the money line on the spread, and I think the under too. Even though it's already kind of low, I think, for these two teams that are going to be pushing each other really hard. Obviously, Kansas City needs this game to kind of stay alive with their playoff hopes. I'm going to take the Houston team total under 24.5 in this one because I just don't know if they can put up that many points. All right, and then lastly, the Eagles and the Chargers. I like the Chargers to bounce back here against the Eagles on the money line and on the spread. And then I think you could also throw the Chargers in a teaser, a 6-point teaser up to 8.5, get the touchdown. And then for the super teaser, I'll do the total, lower it down, and go over 32.5 for the total. So here's the super teaser. It's only plus 2,000 because there's only 13 legs this week. A lot of team totals, actually, this week. And then here are the other 6-point teaser legs that I like. There's actually a lot of them this week. I think teasers are going to be super popular this week, and I don't know if that's a trap or not, but there's just a lot of teams that can be taken down to 2.5, 1.5, or over 7.5, 8.5. So I think teasers are a good way to go this week, like 2 or 3, 4 team teasers even. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but these are the legs that I like with the current numbers. And then I did go ahead and bet Pittsburgh on the money line and the spread, so I did make those bets. And then I have some player props for you. First one is going back to Shedeur Sanders over 10.5 fantasy score. I already got on my soapbox last week about him. I think he's a very accurate quarterback. He just needs some practice. He needs some experience in the NFL, and he's playing behind a terrible offensive line. But 10.5 is just a touchdown and then like 160 passing yards and then maybe one rush for 5 yards. So that's not asking a lot. And I think he could get 2 touchdowns here against the Titans or run one in himself. So I think that this will cash for us again. And then we're going to go back to Tyjae Spears, but we're going to take a slightly different angle this time. Over 17.5 receiving yards for the full game. He's over in every game except the first one. I've seen it at 19.5 on some sites, but it's still 17.5 on a couple of sites as well. You can also take this down to 9.5 for the full game for a decent like goblin payout for like a 2x if you pair it with a normal square. You could also pivot to over 5.5 first half receiving yards if you prefer that. But that hasn't hit in as many games as the full game receiving yards have. Bucky Irving, I like big this week. You could take his combo yards. You could take his rush yards. I like the rush yards personally. Baker's got plenty of pass catchers back, and so I don't think he's going to be checking down to Bucky that much. Over in 2 of 5 games this season, but he's over in both of the head-to-heads last season, and he's just kind of ramping back up. And he's just played 2 decent run defenses. In fact, all 4 of these teams were decent run defenses that he's played against recently, and the Saints really are not. So I like Bucky to go way over this line. And then Alec Pierce, love him, over 26.5 in the first 2 receptions. He's gone over in 4 of 5 and hooked in 1. So he's a deep threat guy, and his shot, like his chart is great against this team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They give up a lot on the outside, although not lately in the past couple of games. So that's because teams haven't been taking advantage of it. So I expect Daniel Jones, he's clearly not afraid to take some deep shots down the field, and Alec Pierce is going to be there to catch those. So I like Alec Pierce over 26.5 in the first 2 receptions. And then bonus bet for plus money, about plus 140 is what I was seeing for this. Aaron Rodgers to throw 2 touchdowns. If on the left here you see his home games, and then on the right his away games. So he's only missed this in 1 away game this year, and he still had at least 1. And so I think it's a good bet to make for plus money against the Ravens, for them to give up 2 passing touchdowns to Aaron Rodgers. All right, here is the summary of the best bets for not the game bets, but the player props. So if you want to get in for the cash prize giveaway for this week, choose 2 out of these 4 best bets, or I'll let you choose the bonus bet on Aaron Rodgers instead, or you can choose the Pittsburgh money line that I bet as a game bet. So tell me which ones of those you think are your favorites down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and hopefully we'll have a basketball video out tomorrow. Thanks, guys.